What's up YouTube, Jeff back again from SamyGuru.com. Today another very exciting Samsung video for you guys, and today we have some hope for Samsung Messages again, as it looks like Samsung is working on some other new features. About 3 months ago in May 2025, I told you guys they were working on a bunch of things for One UI 8. We hadn't seen any evidence of those features coming to Samsung Messages in One UI 8 yet, although it's not unstable, so of course maybe we wouldn't have seen it. But there is a new feature that's been spotted by Android Authority. We covered it over at SamyGuru. I want to talk about that today. And then also, a lot of you guys have been noticing that I don't use Samsung Messages right now on my S25 Ultra or my Z Fold 7, and that is because I've switched back to Beeper because they released a brand new version of their app. I'll talk briefly in this video about that as well, my experience, although I will make a separate video on Beeper, so if you want to check that out, it'll be in the very end of the video. Before we get started, I do want to remind you guys about my friends and partners at MagBak. You guys are always asking what case I'm using, and let me see if I can get in here focused for you guys. This is the MagBak Elite case. You guys, I've talked about it a couple times on the channel. It has a couple of huge benefits over other premium cases out there. You've got this finger loop on the back here. You can, use that to secure it so in your hand so you don't drop it. You've got a kickstand, so it's built right into the case. You can watch movies, media, whatever you want. On the bottom here, you've got this nice flap that covers the charging port, which is great. You don't get any dust or anything in there. It's reinforced for drop protection, fantastic. Perfect covers and cutouts for the camera on the back. And this is one of the only MagSafe compatible cases out there. MagBak's been doing this for a long time. That works perfectly with your S Pen, even if you have attachments on the back, like their MagSafe wallet that MagBak sells as well. I absolutely love the case, not only because it gives you great protection, but you also have these other great features, and it looks great. You can switch out, your loops, etc. Get some different colors going there. They have different colors you can swap out for the buttons and also for these grips, just to personalize it and kind of make it your own, do whatever you want. They've built a really nice ecosystem with these cases. And also right now, I showed you guys in the last video, they now have a 3-in-1 charger that's Samsung compatible. So not only can you drop on your phone on here, you can also drop on your Galaxy Buds 3 Pro, your Galaxy Watch Ultra. One thing I forgot to mention in the last video is this has a really nice little, I love taking off the plastic, nice little sticky pad on the bottom, so you can take that off, stick it to your desk, and then utilize that on your desk to charge up all of your Samsung products. Anyway, really appreciate MagBak for sponsoring it. The Elite case is one of their best ever. If you guys want to check it out for the S25 Ultra, I'll drop the link below. Of course, they also have cases for some of the older S Ultra phones, and I'll drop the links to those as well. All right, let's go ahead and get right into this video. Now, this is the article we wrote over there at SamyGuru. Samsung Messages app might still support satellite SMS, but it's too early to celebrate. This was found by our friends over at Android Authority. And by the way, some of you guys were wondering, yes, I removed the ads from the SamyGuru website because they were a little aggressive. We're going to reevaluate having ads eventually in the future, but they're going to be less aggressive, toned down versions, probably with a different ad publisher, and that's why I did it. So some people asked that question as well. Anyway, they dug into the APK version 16.1.02.2. A Reddit user recently discovered a couple strings related to satellite communications, and it says here, it mentions satellite mode, a toggle within the app that allows users to activate satellite messaging. The string description reads, when in satellite mode, Samsung Messages only supports sending and receiving text messages. RCS messaging would not be available over satellite, and multimedia files like pictures and videos cannot be attached, which is fairly standard. So if you zoom in here, you see the ID, you see those strings. The default that's mentioned here, RCS, doesn't work. So all that's very good. However, if you actually look at, and we dug into this a little bit, Android Authority also had dug into this previously, as I said, this version right here is not the newest version. Version 16.1.10.13 exists, and these satellite-related strings were added as early as back before version 16 with 15.5.31.9. In December of 2024, this was discovered here by Android Authority. Since then, they haven't committed any new strings to these later APKs, so it could suggest that Samsung has either paused or shelved this feature. However, this is encouraging that they are at least building this in, because this could be a very nice feature for people to have, and it also suggests that when you lose traditional network, you'll be able to send and receive traditional SMS through Samsung Messages over satellite. Of course, you've got to have a supported device and also a carrier that supports it, like T-Mobile here in the US, and Verizon. Other carriers are slowly rolling this out as well. As you know, T-Mobile and Verizon have recently launched these, and we did a little bit of a review over it at the website, and I'll link those below. But this combined with our previous report, and I'll link to that really quick here, we had previously seen back in May, and Android Authority had uncovered some of these features as well, that they are building some features from Google Messages and bringing those over to Samsung Messages, emoji and sticker reactions, birthday reminders, which is another feature that's available, and quite a few other things from Google's Messages application. So Samsung could bring these things. It still could happen. So a lot of people have given up hope because we haven't seen it throughout the One UI 8 beta. But Samsung does seem pretty far behind. Once again, whether you want to say it's a delay or not, I know there's a lot of debate going on right now in the Samsung community about what a delay, what that word really means as it pertains to One UI 8. We could still easily see Samsung Messages come out with a stable One UI 8 update with all these features and perhaps even satellite messaging as well. So this does give us some hope at the end of the tunnel if you're waiting for Samsung Messages news. And I know a lot of you guys follow me for this kind of news, so I wanted to kind of weigh in on it. Anyway, curious how many people are still using Samsung Messages? Have you switched to Google Messages? And to address what I'm using right now, let's talk a little bit about the Beeper application and the Beeper application update. So first of all, what is Beeper? Beeper is an application that aims to combine all of your different messaging applications into one app. I previously made a video on Beeper because they kind of got in the mainstream media a few years ago because they were trying to let you send iMessages over Android. Unfortunately, they were basically using servers that were on Mac Minis, and Apple found out about this once it got a lot of publicity. They put an end to it. And while you can still technically do some iMessage over Android using Beeper, you've got to set up a complex server bridge and all this other stuff, and it's just not worth it. I wouldn't recommend it at all. But they did recently put out a new polished update for their Android iOS app, which now gives you fully on-device messaging for all your different platforms. Previously, some of those were also offloaded to a server somewhere else. But now most of your platforms are going to be on-device fully, which definitely gives some people sort of more reassurance when it comes to using an application like this. So you guys can see right here, I'm using Facebook, Google Messages, Google Chat, Instagram, Twitter, and WhatsApp, all within one application, which is the Beeper application. You also have a separate Beeper inbox you can use to communicate with other Beeper users directly, and they also give you updates for the platform. And you can see here, back on July 16th, Kishan, who's one of their head developers, shared the big news for the Beeper Plus and Beeper on device. So they do now have a subscription model, which I know will put a lot of people off, but for me, I absolutely love this, and I'll tell you guys why. Now, obviously, I don't want to put a lot of my messages on blast. I'm going to do another separate video where I dive into all these platforms so I can censor out some of the messages a little easier. But I can have my Google Messages on my main phone number, and it can sync to all of my other phones. So you'll notice here, I don't know why the camera is like struggling with the focus here. Maybe it's because the brightness is a little too low. But this is my Z Fold 7, and all I have to do on the Z Fold 7 is install the Beeper application, and then I automatically get all of my messages from my main phone number to any other phone number. I install it here, and then I get it over here on the S25 Ultra because I'm using the Z Fold 7 as my daily driver. In addition, I can respond to Facebook messages, text messages, Google Chats, which I use for my wife, WhatsApp, which I use to communicate with a lot of brands for the business, for the website, for YouTube videos, Twitter, which I use a lot for my own personal stuff, posting, answering fan comments, and I can do it all from one application, which to me is worth the subscription fee. I think it's $99 a year, something like that. And when I make my full video, I'll certainly kind of go through all those things and talk about it. They also give you nice support in here. You can have a little note to self section. I really enjoy using it. Now, you do have to switch to Google Messages. So a lot of people have asked me, have I switched to Google Messages? Well, kind of. Since I started testing the new Beeper back in July, I did have to switch to Google Messages to use their service because it uses Google Messages Bridge to kind of push those to all of your other phones if you install the Beeper app. But it's also not directly using the Google Messages app. It's just using their service to import them to Beeper. There's some other limitations, which I'll certainly see in my full video, so stay subscribed if you want to hear more about Beeper. And yes, I have a different icon on each phone. You can customize the icon if you subscribe to the Plus plan, their new subscription service. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy this. Some hope for Samsung Messages. Still using it on some of my phones because I got a bunch of different phones, but I really am enjoying Beeper. I used it for about 2 years before I kind of lost interest because they were having some connection problems with all those kind of remote servers, but now that a lot of it's back on device, giving it another go. Anyway, hope you guys check out the website, sammyguru.com. Check out the Mystery Box program if you're interested. Also, huge thanks to our partners at MagBak. Again, the MagBak case, you guys should definitely check them out. I'll have the link to the MagBak case, which is the Elite case for the S25 Ultra, in addition to the discount code as well if you guys would like to order one. They have one for the S24 Ultra as well, still on the website. And they also have the standard version, which is not the elite version, which I showed you guys as well earlier in the video. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this one. Check out all those links below, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks a lot for watching.